inside, and can finish it up with some more petrissage. Pick the foot up at the ankle, rotate the lower leg as you're stroking back and forth across the popliteus muscle, the muscle right behind the leg, the knee, that is. It's a delicate muscle, so you want to be firm but gentle with it. Okay, now you start your effleurage up the hamstrings, right up to the gluteal muscles, 6 to 8 times. Petrissage. Kneading the muscle just like you would bread dough. And then your tapotement, the hacking, cupping. I make the cup out of my hand, kind of like horses' hooves galloping. The beating with the little fingers, striking on the leg and lifting the skin away from the muscle, and then picking. And then tapotement is always followed by the smooth effleurage strokes. And you can bring that down for the whole leg. We're going to do the tapotement again into the gluteals. Since they're covered, you cannot do the effleurage. In the advanced class, we'll just show you the gluteals as one part, just a continued part of the upper limb, the hamstrings right into the gluteals. But for these purposes, we'll just do the tapotement on the gluteals. The cupping, beating, the picking, and the petrissage. I changed the order that we usually go in. We usually do the petrissage first, but because of this particular area, we're doing the tapotement first, finishing up with the petrissage. In lieu of the effleurage, which can't be done right now on this. And then we end with a nerve stroke. Preparing the back for massage, making sure that the surface of the skin is nice and covered with oil, so my hand will glide smoothly without resistance across the skin. Massage for the back is not done in any particular order, in any particular way. This is the way that I do it. I start at the base of the spine with these two fingers on either side of the spine, pulling up through the postural muscles, the ones that work so hard holding a person erect. This is a very pleasurable feeling to have these muscles stretched. So do work very hard. The two areas of greatest stress in the spine usually are in the sacroiliac, where the sacrum meets the pelvic bone, and through the shoulder blade that bears the weight of the head, which is quite heavy, and through the area between the shoulder blades. And these are the majority of where the complaints will be in the person that you're working on. I start with circular friction that I apply with my knuckles, working up the side of the spine. Being aware of the spinous processes, the little bumps on either side of the spine, and not working on them. This is not a pleasant feeling. You do not want to do that. I take the knuckles and stretch the muscles down the side, down the ribs, opening up the fingers between the ribs so as not to bruise the skin. I put my fingers in between the ribs to pull through the intercostal muscles, and again I go to the circular friction as I reach the patella, the shoulder blade. And this can be done with both hands. You can even do it at the same time in opposite directions. Working the teres minor, which is a small muscle behind the arm, and is quite often full of knots. I'm working that out again with my knuckles, and then over onto the deltoid, posterior deltoid, back up around the scapula, working on the rhomboid major and minor, and up into the muscles of the neck. This is a good movement where you let your hand slide up and down the neck, your fingers sliding up and down the neck as you're digging your knuckles into the juncture of the shoulder and the neck. Stanley, am I doing this too firmly?
That's good.
Okay. Want to be
Muscles
sure?
she's working on there, the levator scapula is really, it gets abused quite a bit.
This is a very individual spot for pressure tolerance. Some people really like deep, deep work through this area. Some people cannot tolerate that much pressure. So you want to be sure and ask the person you're working on if the way that you're doing it is good for them. Okay, I've worked that out well. Now, I repeat the process, starting the opposite side of the spine, doing the circular friction with my knuckles, pulling down across the ribs, coming back up, going down, coming back up, opening up my fingers as I come through the ribs. I can turn and pull upwards, and I'm feeling for the spaces between the ribs, the intercostal muscles, to stretch them out. Again with the circular friction. Now, effleurage with my knuckles through the teres minor, up to the arm, around the scapula, the rhomboids are, working on the scapula, around it. Never massage down into a bone. That is painful to the skin and the tissue right over the bone. Always skirt around bone. You do have to work on bone because a person is very slender or elderly, doesn't have a lot of tissue. You must use really light pressure. And you can read their body language. If you see them flinch or pull away, or that you hear them make even small noises that aren't sounding like they're being pleased by what you're doing, will let you know that your pressure is too deep. But never hesitate to question them. Is that good, or would you like me to change that? Because you want them to be pleased with what you're doing for them. If you do need to work through a muscle knot, You can explain to them that you know that this is a little painful, or maybe sometimes more than a little painful, but if they will allow you to work through that area, that you will relieve that knot and make the function of that part of the body be a lot better. Now I'm again working up here on this levator muscle and the splenius capitis, going up to the base of the head where the two bumps stick out. It's a good way to describe it. Working that through, digging my knuckles into those areas that you're usually going to feel as being stiff and knotted. If a person works at a computer all day, or some kind of a job where they have to hold their arms up in front of them, you're going to feel a lot of stiffness and tension through this area right here. You want to relieve that for them. Another good move is taking your arms, your hands, your knuckles, doing a very short effleurage stroke from the shoulder to the neck and back again. And opening the hand up, stroking both sides of the neck, and then using circular friction on either side of the neck. Stan, is that alright, or am I doing that too deep? Okay. I can feel really stiff muscles there on either side of the neck, and I'm using circular friction on those, working those out. Alright, then I finish up by going back through these postural muscles, and I can feel that they're very much less stiff than they were when I first did this move at the beginning to my back work. Okay, now I'm going to...
Okay, we'll have Paula to take and put the arm up in the small of the back and to work out the rhomboid major and the rhomboid minor, then up into the levator scapula. See that shoulder, see how the shoulder blade pops up out of the scapula? See how it pops up? You should take that thumb, go around through the rhomboid major, rhomboid minor, and levator scapula. Okay, then you should go to the other side, do the same thing, put the arm in the small of the back.
Relax that elbow down. Stan is a good one for this positioning on the rhomboid release because his shoulder blade does pop up really well. I'm really trying to dig in underneath that shoulder blade as far as I can, coming all the way up onto the top of his shoulder and around to release these rhomboid muscles so that the neck and shoulders will feel much more relaxed. 3 to 4 times of this movement is good. Okay.